Montague-Chelmsford reforms were passed in 1919 and these were unsatisfactory. Rowlatt Act was passed, which was also called as the Black Act by Sidney Rowlatt, according to which any person could be arrested without search warrant. Two leaders of Amritsar, Dr. Saifuddin Kichlu and Dr. Satyapal, were arrested. A protest meeting was held in Jallianwala Bagh where General Dyer asked his soldiers to shoot on unarmed people. Many people died and many were wounded. After this massacre, crawling, flogging of people in public were the common issues. General Dyer was held responsible for this great massacre. After this great incident, the people were crawled on the roads where two British women were assaulted. And after the end of this historic incident, Ali brothers started the Khilafat movement against the British. In this module, we are going to discuss the Jallianwala Bagh and Khilafat movement. We are doing lesson 5, Gandhian nationalism. Objectives of the topic. Before going through the lesson, let's understand the objectives of the topic. To understand the emergence of Mahatma Gandhi, movement at Champaran, his movement at Ahmedabad and movement at Kheda. Agitation against Rowlatt Act, Jallianwala Bagh massacre. The Khilafat movement, the non-cooperation movement and its impact, the Simon Commission. Nehru Report, the civil disobedience movement and its impact, and Gandhi-Irwin Pact. And in this module, we are going to discuss the Jallianwala Bagh massacre and the Khilafat movement. Let's discuss the new words of the topic. Knighthood, the title of honor conferred by the British government. Khilafat movement, the movement started by Ali brothers against injustice done with Caliph of Turkey. After the First World War, the Caliph of Turkey was dethroned by the British government and Muslims of India started a movement against it. So it was called as Khilafat movement. Montague-Chelmsford reforms, the reforms brought by the British after the First World War, which promised self-government in India. But these reforms were not satisfactory, so people resorted to protest against the British government. Now let's discuss the first topic of today's module, Jallianwala Bagh massacre, which took place on 13 April 1919. Firstly, we will discuss the factors or the reasons responsible for the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Indians were not satisfied with the Montague-Chelmsford reforms of 1917, especially with the system of diarchy or the dual government. People came out on roads to protest the Montague-Chelmsford reforms. In order to get the support of Indians during the First World War, the British promised that they would bring some reforms in India. As per their promise, they brought Montague-Chelmsford reforms in India, or the reforms of 1917. But these reforms were not satisfactory, as diarchy was given in them. Diarchy means dual government, where subjects were divided between the British government and the Indian states on the basis of their importance. The more important subject, like finance and defense, was kept reserved by the British government under itself, and the lesser important subjects like education and the health and agriculture were given to the Indians. And Indians were not satisfied with the Montague-Chelmsford reform, so they resorted to protest against it. The British government became determined to suppress the national movement by any means. The agitating people were lathi charged and fired upon at many places. The Punjab region, particularly Amritsar, witnessed the worst of it. The people who were protesting the British government against their Montague-Chelmsford reform were severely dealt, and they were lathi charged and put behind the bar, and situation was worst in Amritsar region. Along with Gandhiji, two local leaders, Dr. Kichlu and Dr. Satyapal, were arrested on 10 April 1919. To protest against this, the people defiantly assembled at Jallianwala Bagh on 13 April 1919. For protesting Montague-Chelmsford reforms and the Rowlatt Act, two local leaders of Amritsar, Dr. Kichlu and Dr. Satyapal, and Mahatma Gandhi also were arrested on 10 April 1919. The people gathered in Jallianwala Bagh to protest the arrest of their leaders. Let's discuss now the Jallianwala Bagh episode, or what happened on 13 April 1999 in Amritsar. The Rowlatt Act was passed in 1919, which empowered the British government to arrest any person without trial. On 13 April 1919, people were gathered at Jallianwala Bagh to protest the arrest of their local leader. It was a very peaceful meeting, being carried out by local leader Kartar Singh. The people were silently listening to the demands of the leader and the demands of the self-interest. Then General Dyer, who is also called as the Butcher of Amritsar, entered in the Bagh with his large troop. He asked the troop to start firing on the innocent people. As directed by their general, the soldiers directed the bullets on the 4 gates of the Bagh. The people started running. Being afraid of being dead, they fell down in the well. The people were crying, but it didn't affect the men of general. They keep on firing till their ammunition was not exhausted. The well of the Jallianwala Bagh is a historical symbol and a manifestation of the dead lives. People were asked to crawl even after this incident. The marks of the bullets are still seen there on the walls of the Jallianwala Bagh. A martial law was declared in Amritsar. That means that it was a rule of army. The Jallianwala Bagh massacre took place in Amritsar on 13th April 1919. On Sunday, 13th April, General Reginald Edward Harry Dyer declared that a major insurrection took place and banned all meetings. This notice was not widely disseminated. On 13 April 1919, the acting Army General, General Dyer, declared that all the meetings would be banned, and if anybody would be assembled in crowd, the person could be attacked by the British government. But this information was not yet widely spread amongst the civilians of Amritsar and the surrounding villages. Many villagers had gathered in Jallianwala Bagh to peacefully protest the arrest of their 2 leaders, Dr. Saifuddin Kichlu, Dr. Satyapal. Saifuddin Kichlu was a nationalist leader for Punjab. He is mostly remembered for leading the protest movement against the Rowlatt Act, and he was arrested that led to the protestant at Jallianwala Bagh. Dyer and his troops entered the garden, blocking the main entrance behind them. Dyer took up the position on a raised platform. He ordered his troops to start firing without any warning on the unarmed crowd in a park which had no way out. Without giving any warning to people, General Dyer asked his soldiers to start firing on the innocent people who were unarmed. The firing continued for about 10 minutes, directing the bullets largely towards the 4 open gates through which people were trying to flee. Many jumped into the well in the Bagh to save themselves from the hail of bullets. The shrieks of innocent people filled the air, but Dyer's men kept firing bullets till their ammunition was not exhausted. According to the official statement, 379 persons were killed and several thousands were wounded, but an unofficial account gave much higher figure, almost 3 times. The innocent people were crying, but it didn't have any effect on General Dyer. He continued firing till the ammunitions were not ended. According to official statement, the statement which was provided by the government, 379 people died, but actually historians are of view that the number of the dead people in Jallianwala Bagh was around 1,000. Now let's discuss what were the effects of the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Martial law was immediately enforced in Punjab on 13th April. This was followed by a series of humiliating orders. Curfew was imposed and people were flogged in public. On 13th April 1919, after this massacre, there was martial law imposed on Punjab. Martial law means there was rule of army in Punjab. Nobody was allowed to come out of their houses as curfew was imposed in Punjab. From the screen, you can see the Army General giving direction to the soldiers in order to implement the martial law. We come to know that the people were made to crawl where 2 British women were assaulted. Students had to walk 16 miles a day for roll call. Arrested persons were confined in an open cage and were also kept on open trucks for 15 hours. That means public were humiliated, and they were humiliated openly so that nobody could dare to stand before the British government. The great poet Rabindranath Tagore renounced his honourable title of knighthood in protest against the barbarous act of the British government. The poet wrote a letter to Lord Chelmsford, the Viceroy of India, repudiating his knighthood in protest of Jallianwala Bagh massacre. To protest against the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, famous Indian poet Rabindranath Tagore gave up his honourable title of knighthood, which was conferred to him by the British government for his literary work of Gitanjali. He said, when his brothers were dying in Amritsar, how could he expect to get honour from the same government? How could a government give honour to one son of a land and kill the another son of the same land? All over India, people protested against Jallianwala Bagh tragedy. On your screen, you can see the protest by Rabindranath Tagore, where he told the Chelmsford that he wanted to return the knighthood conferred to him. Causes of the failure of the protest. The whole agitation was not properly organized. The most important point was that there was no central organization to coordinate the movement. The protest, which was started against the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy, was not a successful one, and the main reason was that there was no single organization which could give leadership to this protest. The whole of India was not affected, and the movement was more effective in cities than in rural areas. In the opinion of Judith M. Brown, who has been a famous historian, Bombay and Gujarat were the main centers of the movement. Other parts of India produced only a half-hearted response. Gandhiji himself confessed that he committed a Himalayan miscalculation by proposing civil disobedience to the people who were insufficiently prepared for discipline of Satyagraha. Apart from the weakness of Congress, Gandhiji also accepted that people of India at that time were not ready to take up any Satyagraha against the British government. They were fighting with their own problems of economic misery. They were not yet ready to fight against the British government. Bipin Chandra Pal has pointed out that the protest was generally accompanied by violence and disorder. Punjab, which was suffering from after effects of the wartime repression, forcible recruitment and ravages of disease, reacted strongly in the movement. It was decided that the protest movement was to be a peaceful movement, but in Punjab it took a violent form, as the soldiers of this region had served the British government in the First World War, but in result they got their other brothers killed in the Jallianwala Bagh. So a violence form was taken by this movement in Punjab. The most significant result of this agitation was the emergence of Gandhi as an all-India leader. When Gandhiji joined Indian politics, he had good faith in the goodwill of British government, but the Rowlatt Act and the Jallianwala Bagh massacre greatly shattered his faith. Though the protest movement had been a failure, but its most important result was that Mahatma Gandhi emerged as a national leader. When he joined politics, he was having faith in the British policies. When he started his initial movements in Ahmedabad, Kheda, he was affirmed that the British government would do good for India. But the incidents which took place in Amritsar, the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy, and the Rowlatt Act shattered his myth. The second movement that we are going to discuss in this module is the Khilafat movement. The Khilafat movement started in 1919 till 1924, was a significant Islamic movement organized by Ali brothers Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali in India during the British rule. This was an attempt by the Indian Muslim community to unite together the support of the Turkish Empire ruled by the Khalifa, the Ottoman Sultan. Let's first discuss the international causes for starting the Khilafat movement. During the First World War, Turkey had joined the Central Powers. Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Bulgaria formed as Central Powers. When the war ended, the victorious Allied powers, that is England, Russia, and France, took a stern attitude towards Turkey, and Khalifa was removed from his power. The Islamic world regarded the Sultan of Turkey as a spiritual leader or Khalifa, so naturally their sympathies were with the Turkey. The Muslims all over the world regarded the British policy of dethroning the Khalifa as against their religion. Now let's discuss the domestic reason for starting the Khilafat movement, or the reasons which were there in India which were responsible for starting off the Khilafat movement by the Ali brothers. Apart from international causes, there were many domestic reasons, the reasons at home, which were responsible for launching the Khilafat movement. Let's understand these. The Muslims of India were deeply humiliated. Muslims were agitated over England's behavior with Turkey in the First World War and started the Khilafat movement for restoration of position of Khalifa. The main demands of the Indian Muslims were the control of Khalifa should be retained over the sacred Muslim places. In the territorial adjustment after the war, the Khalifa should be left with sufficient territories. In early 1919, the Khilafat Committee was formed in Bombay. Indian Muslims put forward their demand that Khalifa should be restored in Turkey and he should be given enough territories so that his position can be a higher one in the Muslim people. And for this, in the early 1919, Khilafat Committee was formed in Bombay. The leaders followed the traditional method of prayer, petitions and deputation to the government, but this did not produce any result. At the All India Khilafat Conference in Delhi, November 23, 1919, the leaders advocated non-cooperation with the government. At the beginning of the movement, the leaders followed the traditional methods like moderates of prayer, petitions, and sending written requests. But when they were not successful, they adopted the non-cooperation as one of the principles of the Khilafat movement. In April 1920, Shaukat Ali warned the British government we will start a joint Hindu-Muslim movement of non-cooperation. This movement had no direct link with the politics in India. In April 1920, Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali warned British government that if the demands of restoring the position of Khalifa would not be fulfilled by the British government, then they would start in India a joint Hindu-Muslim movement. During post-First World War period, the prices of daily commodities increased. The prices of goods rose sharply and many sections of Indian society suffered the considerable economic distress. The volume of import declined during the First World War. The net results were Indian industry suffered, production steadily fell, many were closed down and workers from the industries lost their jobs. After the First World War, as Europe was going through economic crisis, India also suffered a great setback. The prices of different commodities rose suddenly. The Indians were dying because of hunger. In this situation, when Muslims were not satisfied with the treatment the British have done with the Turkey, and in addition, they were not having the economic resources, they were ready to start a movement against the British Empire. The third domestic reason for starting the Khilafat movement was the dissatisfaction with the Montague-Chelmsford reforms. In political field, the nationalists were disillusioned because the government did not care to fulfill their promises of desired constitutional reforms as declared by Montague in 1917. This increased the anti-British attitude. The British had promised during the First World War to bring some reforms, but Montague-Chelmsford reforms were not satisfactory to Indians. The next reason for starting Khilafat movement was the passing of the Rowlatt Act or the Black Act. The Rowlatt Act, passed in March 1919, empowered the government to imprison any person without trial and conviction in the court of law. It said no appeal, no vakil, no dalil. Actually, the target was the nationalist who would not be given a chance to defend themselves. Another reason for starting of Khilafat movement was the passing of Rowlatt Act in 1919. This act gave the power to the British government to arrest any person without giving him any logic of being arrested and put in jail as long as the government wanted, and that also without starting any case on him. Mahatma Gandhi remarked about this act that it was no appeal, no vakil, and no dalil. It also led to dissatisfaction of the people against the British Empire. The Jallianwala Bagh massacre was yet another reason for starting the Khilafat movement by the Ali brothers. The man on your screen that you are seeing is General Dyer, who was responsible for the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. The massacre at Jallianwala Bagh also took place in 1919. Unarmed large crowd gathered at the Jallianwala Bagh to protest against the arrest of their leaders. General Dyer ordered the troops to open fire on the crowd without issuing any warning. The Jallianwala Bagh Park had no way out except a few narrow lanes. Thousands were killed, a number of people were wounded. This incident shocked the whole country. The famous poet Rabindranath Tagore renounced his title of knighthood, which was conferred to him by the British government for his literary work of Gitanjali. Thus, the ground was prepared for the movement against the British rule. The Khilafat issue gave an advantage to the Muslim sport, and the final touch was given by Mahatma Gandhi. Now let's discuss the progress of the Khilafat movement. The Khilafat movement was started in India along with the Hindu community with the support of Mahatma Gandhi so that the movement could be more successful. Early in 1920, a joint Hindu-Muslim deputation met the Viceroy to seek redress, but this proved abortive. Gandhiji became the president of All India Khilafat Committee and adopted a moderate policy in the early stage. Here, by moderate policy, we mean to say a policy which based on prayers, petitions, and sending written requests to the British government. There was Hindu-Muslim unity in the beginning phase of the Khilafat movement where Mahatma Gandhi sided with the Khilafat movement. In the meantime, the terms of Treaty of Sevres became known and the Muslims became furious. The Central Khilafat Committee met at Allahabad in June 1920, where a policy of non-cooperation was adopted. By that time, the Treaty of Sevres came to known to all Indian Muslims. So they became anti-British and a movement was adopted named as Khilafat movement, which also included non-cooperation as the policy of the movement. August 1, 1920 was fixed for starting this movement. But stiff resistance came from Congress leaders like C.R. Das, Annie Besant, Madan Mohan Malviya. They gave the logic that Congress had always been champion of secular character. When Mahatma Gandhi decided to side with the Khilafat movement, he was criticized by the moderate leaders. They gave a logic that Congress had been always fought for the right purpose and for any purpose which did not involve the religious tint. But here, if they would work for the Khilafat movement with the Muslim for removal of the Turkish Khalifa, then Congress would not be considered as a secular party. The Khilafat movement failed in long term. Gandhiji got the support of Muslims for the non-cooperation movement for some time, but in long term, Gandhi's hopes were not fulfilled when the Khilafat problem was solved by internal revolution in Turkey by Kemal Pasha. Turkey was declared a secular republic. To conclude that, we can say that the Khilafat movement did not last long, owing to some violent incidents in the country which resulted in the deaths of many Indian and the British people. Mahatma Gandhi called off his non-cooperation movement. And with the ending of the non-cooperation movement, the Khilafat movement, which originally started as a protest against the Turkish problem, also ended. So Muslims lost their enthusiasm to work for national struggle and to cooperate with non-cooperation movement of Mahatma Gandhi. So we can say that the Khilafat movement united the Muslims against Britain in support of the Caliph in Turkey. There was Hindu-Muslim unity in support of Khilafat and non-cooperation movements. The non-cooperation led to non-violent protest all over India. Some protests became violent and Hindu-Muslim riots occurred. The Caliphate in Turkey was abolished. Hindu-Muslim unity came to an end and Muslim convictions were strengthened against the conquerors. In this module, we have discussed the following questions. Why were the people disappointed with the Montague Chelmsford reform? Why did the people assemble in the Jallianwala Bagh? Describe the Jallianwala Bagh episode. What was the impact of the Jallianwala Bagh massacre? Why was the Khilafat movement started? And what were the reasons of the failure of the Khilafat movement? If you want to search more on this topic, you can see a YouTube link on your screen. You can search for the extra information.